Hello.
All right.
Hey. It is early May 2020, and Max, Joey, and I are here in the Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock Wilderness of Nantahala National Forest, North Carolina. It's a bit of a later start than we expected. It's almost 5 p.m. We had some car troubles on the way up. We had to drop that car off, pick up a rental car to make it the rest of the way. Stressful, but we're here now. We're ready to get out into the woods for a couple days. We're honestly expecting this to be a challenging adventure in the wilderness. The trails could be overgrown. There could be lots of blowdowns, very rough terrain, steep navigation through the wilderness. But we're expecting it to be super beautiful as well, and it's not worth it if you're not working. So we'll go up there, we'll make it happen. We've only got about 3 miles today, which is good because we only have a couple hours of daylight left.
Late start thing.
But we are going to go straight uphill for the next 3 miles and hopefully get to the top of the Hangover, which should be an awesome view for us. So we're ready to hit the trail.
What's up?
Let's go.
Right away.
Definitely straight uphill so far, but we got some nice views already poking out of the trees, and we should have more on the way. Beautiful little view there out to the west as we continue our climb. There's not much flat ground on the route so far. Every half mile or so we'll come along a little 100-yard stretch where we get to walk in the flat, but besides that it's pretty steep.
Today.
Popped out to an awesome view here along the Hangover Trail, Hangover Lead Trail, and it's a beautiful day. Sun's shining bright. Hopefully it doesn't mess it up too much, but a gorgeous view. Wilderness as far as the eye can see. Well, it's no exaggeration to say that this is one of the best views that I've ever seen in the Southern Appalachians. 360-degree view of unbroken mountains in every direction. That's looking out south. And you come around, there's the sun blasting us. Continue around here. Now we're looking towards the north. And it is just spectacular out here. A beautiful day, a beautiful view. Home sweet home. We've made to camp for the night around the Saddle Tree Camp area, a little bit below the Hangover. And we have a water source a couple 100 yards down the side of the mountain. We're gonna get set up. Daylight is running out, and that'll be the end of it. On this trip, we're using the Fontana and Hiawassee Lakes Nantahala National Forest map, National Geographic Trails Illustrated, number 784. Let's take a look at the map for day 1. We started at the Big Fat Gap Trailhead and followed the Hangover Lead Trail down to the Saddle Tree Gap area where it intersects with the Hangover Alternate Trail. We took that up to the view, and then we backtracked through this area several times looking for the seasonal water source, which we ended up locating on the alternate trail. Day 1 was about 4.5 miles due to our backtracks, but if you know what you're doing, you can probably get it done in 3. Alrighty, well the sun is setting, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick outro here. We've had a long day today, both getting to the trailhead and then a steep hike up here today, but we had a great view along the Hangover Lead Trail and awesome, incredible, breathtaking views at the Hangover itself. So we're gonna finish getting camp set up, get our water gathered, cook some dinner, and then I think it'll be an early bedtime for us because we're a tired couple of fellas. Good night. Good morning.
Good morning.
We made it to day 2.
Wow.
Pretty rough night last night due to the extremely strong winds that blew through the entire night. Made it tough to get a full night's sleep when you fall asleep and then it feels like a bear is coming up and shaking the shelter and definitely wakes you up pretty quickly. But just the wind coming through time after time. It's cooled off a little bit now in terms of the wind. It's warmed up a bit in terms of the temperature.
Yep.
We've got a beautiful sunny day. Our plan on day 2 is going to be to drop down into the deep Memorial Forest area. We're going to take naked ground down and get into those big trees that Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock is really famous for. So we're excited to go down there and check it out. Heading up to the top of Haoh. We are hiking along a knife edge ridgeline here on the Haoh lead trail with pretty sweet views out to either side. It's a beautiful day. We've enjoyed a nice snack break here at Naked Ground. We're about to bomb down the Naked Ground trail and head right down there into the Little Santeetlah Creek Valley. Dropping a couple hundred feet down Naked Ground so far, and we've come along our first little stream. This is gonna flow down into the Little Santeetlah Creek, and we are continuing to head down.
Cheers.
As we continue to descend, the greenery is becoming more abundant and the trees are growing larger and larger. There's Max for scale at this big boy, and there should be even bigger ones in our future. A wizard of the woods, yeah. Joey has found his shelter for the night.
All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
All right, man. Have a good night. A bunch of beetles crawling around on this mossy fungi tree. A whole ecosystem right there all together. Home sweet home. We've made it to this beautiful open campsite here. 50 or so feet off the Naked Ground trail, and this is gonna be home for the night. North Carolina's Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock Wilderness was created in 1975 and covers over 17,000 acres in the watersheds of Little Santeetlah and Slickrock Creeks.
combining with the neighboring Santeetlah Creek Wilderness, creates the second largest contiguous wilderness area in the southeast, with a trail network of 31 trails stretching more than 110 miles.
Let's take a look at the map for day 2. We started this day at Saddle Tree Gap, where we spent the night. We hopped on the Haoh lead trail over to Naked Ground, and then took the Naked Ground trail down through the Little Santeetlah Creek until we hit our campsite for the night a little bit before the Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest area. So today was about 7 miles. Alrighty.
Alright.
We've made it to the end of day 2. We had a good day today. It was a shorter day than we expected. I was having some stomach problems. Fortunately, these guys were kind enough to be patient. We came about 7 miles down, and we got to see some great views along the Haoh lead trail. Ridge lines out to either side, the mountains.
It's a cool ridge.
Unbroken for as far as we could really see. And then coming down the Little Santeetlah Creek, we basically watched it go from a small stream to a pretty sizable river, and all throughout the woods the whole way down were just dozens of cascades that we could see and hear. So
much fun to follow that water system and just watch it change, man. That's awesome.
Yep, and we kind of saw when we were at the top, we could see coming down. We were like, okay, that's where we're gonna go. So kind of got to watch where we were going before we went there. We've seen 8 people so far on the trip, 5 today, 3 yesterday, and including our 2 new friends, Kirk and Natalie, who we met at the trailhead, and they're out here somewhere in the wilderness as well. So we've got our camp set up. We've got a good campsite here. We're gonna hang out, relax the rest of the evening, get some more food in us, and get ready for another day tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.
Cheers.
Morning.
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 Made it to day 3 of our trip here in the Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock Wilderness of Nantahala National Forest, North Carolina. Last night was a much better night than the night before. We had this nice calm campsite. The brutal gusts of wind were not blasting us. The stream was giving us some nice sound to just lull us to sleep. So great night last night. A huge improvement over night 1.
Much better.
We got some good sleep, so hopefully we're energized for a good day today. We're excited for the plan today. We're gonna go down into the deep of the Memorial Forest and hopefully see the biggest trees that are really in the area. We've been excited for that. And then we're gonna go up to the highest point in the wilderness on the Bob Stratton Bald, and there should be some views up there, and then we'll continue to where we're going to try to set up camp to give us a fairly short day out tomorrow. So we've got a couple things we're really looking forward to on day 3, and should be another good day for us. Making our way through the Memorial Forest, and we started to come across the huge trees. There's Joey for scale. It's very dark in this section of the forest. We can't even see even close to the top of the tree.
I can't tell where it is.
We've made it to the memorial for Joyce Kilmer at the intersection of the upper and lower loop trails. The lower loop is closed right now, so we're going to continue looping around. And you've got a double header. There's Max in between 2 big old trees. These things could be 300-400 years old. We've just came up a gnarly southern Appalachian bushwhack up that hill behind us to get up to the Stratton Bald Trail from the Memorial Trail. We're definitely glad to have found it because it was not easy going.
Not quite.
The Stratton Bald Trail is a little more than a glorified game trail so far, but it's bringing us up to some beautiful views and we're having a good time on this adventure. Stratton Bald Trail, very challenging, very overgrown, but we're getting some more great views up here and we're continuing to work our way to the top. We're in the vicinity of Stratton Bald, which is the highest point in the wilderness, and it was an unrelenting climb to get up here today. Making our way along the Haoh lead trail to finish off our day in Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock. A beautiful view back at Naked Ground. We were here yesterday, and we're gonna grab a campsite in this general area to finish off our day.
Naked Ground began as a Cherokee trading path. Up the Little Santeetlah Creek Basin, through this gap on the ridge, then down the Slickrock Creek Basin to the Little Tennessee River. Many of the trees in this basin are over 400 years old and have borne witness to a plethora of changes in the world around them.
Max found a pretty big pile of bear scat here, pretty close to our campsite. There's a shoe for reference. So we're gonna be pretty careful with our food tonight.
The well-known Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest lies along the Little Santeetlah Creek drainage. Chosen out of millions of acres of considered lands in the United States to be the memorial forest for soldier and poet Joyce Kilmer, this is one of the largest old-growth forest tracts east of the Mississippi.
Let's take a look at the map for day 3. We started today at our campsite along the Naked Ground alternate trail. We dipped down into the Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest, followed the loop, and then did a steep, rough bushwhack up to Stratton Bald Trail. We then followed the Stratton Bald Trail all the way to the top and hooked over to Naked Ground, where we've got camp set up for the night. On the map, this was a bit shorter, but according to the GPS, we've been about 8 miles today. Alrighty, we made it to the end of day 3. Today was a very tiring day, from starting out with our steep, insane bushwhack and then hopping on the slightly less steep and slightly less insane Stratton Bald bushwhack trail up to the top. So tiring day for us, a lot of elevation gain, a lot of fighting through plants along the way, crawling over trees, but it was a good adventurous day. This will be our last night. We've got a beautiful campsite here at the top of Naked Ground. We've seen more people in the past hour and a half come through this area than we've seen the entire rest of the trip. So
Everybody.
we got a couple new buddies that are set up with us, and we're looking forward to hanging out around the campfire tonight. So that's going to be the end of day 3, and we'll finish things off tomorrow. Good night. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Made it to day 4, the last day of our trip here in Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock Wilderness. We've got a couple miles to head out to finish off the trip. Last night was a pretty good night. We had a lot of dew come through in the morning and got everything wet, but it's the last day, so we'll go home. We'll let things dry out. Great trip, very difficult trip. A little bit to finish off, and then we'll be done with it. It's time to hit the trail.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, well, Joey, we've wanted to come to Joyce Kilmer for a long time and finally made it out.
Many years.
What's been your experience here over the past 4 days?
Well, man, this is This has definitely been another one of those challenging adventures. It was mentally tough getting in. Had that little bit of car trouble on the road all day. Got into camp really late the first night. Max was the only one that had dinner. That's not ideal. So it only got better from there. It was a rough first day and night. Second day was beautiful hiking. Spirits started to pick back up. Everybody started feeling a little better, and it just got better from there. And so, you know, it's one of those things when you just keep your head down and try and keep your spirits up and push forward. It's amazing how things can turn out for the best. And this place certainly lives up to its name. I mean, I've definitely never seen trees like that before. Beautiful different ecosystems. Definitely up here on this ridge right now is just spectacular scenery. So very physically challenging. For us it was mentally challenging, but man, it's very worth it. And this has been a really good one. I look forward to coming back someday and seeing the rest of the place. Right? Oh my God, what is this?
Making our way down the trail. It's a cloudy morning, but we still got beautiful views out into the Little Santeetlah Creek Valley. Facing north, we elected to visit the Hangover one last time and drink in this incredible view. That's looking out east. You got some pretty gnarly clouds forming up there back towards the south, but hopefully we don't have more than a couple hours left on trail and we can beat them out. There's west. Spectacular view. Windy morning. Beautiful, beautiful views here along the Hangover lead trail as we make our way home. Trying to make good time, but can't help but stop and enjoy this. Alrighty, well, Max, we're closing in on another 4-day backpacking adventure. Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock Wilderness, what reflections would you like to share over the past couple days?
Well, it's been pretty interesting. I was on the Hot Springs and Max Patch with these guys last time, and it's been a different experience. Just kind of, you know, not through anybody's fault or anything, but just kind of, you know, I think the wilderness had a big factor in just kind of making things more challenging. So, you know, on the AT, it's all marked, and you kind of just turn your brain off and go from white blaze to white blaze. And this place is the exact opposite, and then you stack on top. You know, with some car difficulties, like Joey said, and we weren't all feeling well on every day, and it just, you know, it was challenging, and it wasn't, you know, it was not only challenging trail wise, which it was with the brush and the incline, but also just everybody had to work together and also, you know, exercise some patience. But overall, yeah, it was a great trip, and weather wise and everything like that, it was perfect. I mean, it was better than, more ideal than the last trip at Hot Springs. I brought the right gear, and you know, in that regards, it went off without a hitch. But yeah, so those are my thoughts.
Making our way down back towards the trailhead.
Yeah. All right.
Let's take a look at the map for day 4.
We started this day at our campsite in the Naked Ground area. We followed the Haoh lead trail to connect with the Hangover lead trail and the Hangover alternate to hit the Hangover view one last time. And then we followed the Hangover lead trail back to our parking spot at Big Fat Gap. Day 4 was about 4.5 miles for a trip total of close to 25 miles. Alrighty, I made it to the end of 4 days in the Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock Wilderness of Nantahala National Forest, North Carolina. Had a good trip. It was very challenging, both physically and mentally. Especially for me, I was having these stomach problems basically the whole trip. Made it tough to really bring in some calories. These guys were patient with me. I really appreciate it. We had a great time. The weather was almost perfect for us. The only bad weather we had was night 1, where those gale force winds, but it was cool in the morning. It was warm in the afternoons, but not extreme on either side. No rain at all. Very beautiful 4 days for us in spring, so got fortunate there. We got to see a really more good views than I expected. A lot of the trees were still, the leaves were down on the ridge line, so we had views out to both sides. The Hangover is just an incredible 360-degree view. We got to hit that a couple times. The old growth forest area with the 450-year-old trees. It's really humbling to stand next to something so big and so old. The beautiful streams and creeks that we saw all throughout the trip. Really pretty area here in Joyce Kilmer-Slickrock, and I'm glad that we were able to make it out, and I'm sure I'll be back one day in the future.
Absolutely. What a trip, man.
We'll call that the end.
Beautiful.
Goodbye.
See ya.